Welcome to the Bullington Capital Management Podcast. I'm Josh Booth, and of course with me is Bill Bullington, president of Bullington Capital Management, and thanks for listening on WHKRadio.com, 955thefish.com, thewordcleveland.com, and of course where you get podcasts, whether that's on Google or iTunes. So, Bill, what is the importance of continuing to have growth in your retirement accounts?
Well, Josh, I'm glad you asked that question. We get asked that a lot. One of the issues people face when they get to the retirement age, they start thinking about guaranteeing their monthly income. So you start looking at guaranteed types of products, and they definitely have a place in your portfolios. But you shouldn't be investing exclusively in that. You shouldn't put all of your, in other words, you shouldn't put all of your money in that. And here's why. Right now, a 10-year Treasury note's paying 2%. And you have to lock your money up for 10 years to be guaranteed that 2% interest rate. The short-term interest rates on T-bills are actually slightly higher than the 10 years right now. But so just say 2% is a good starting point. If you see something that's significantly higher than 2%, it has risk to it. There's no other way to do that. So if you're going to go outside of the guaranteed investment arena, you're actually, the next best thing to do, in my opinion, is to look at stocks, stock funds, not individual stocks, unless you're really rich and it's just a small percentage of your portfolio. But the average person is going to have to rely on stocks with some portion of their money if they want to earn more than 2%. If you want to do a little math, 2% of $1 million is $20,000. Okay, and that's taxable. After taxes, you're going to be lucky if you get $1,300 or $1,400 and you have $1 million. That's why, an average balance account, by the way, over the past 20 years has averaged somewhere between 5 and 6.5%, depending on the manager. So when you're looking at 5% on $1 million, that's $50,000 a year. Big difference. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So that's the key. The balance fund, it's got stocks and bonds in it and some cash. It typically has a much higher return. We're not allowed to guarantee that, but it's because you're including stocks in the mix. And I think that's really necessary. And I think a lot of people need to hear that. Unfortunately, you can't have a current rate that's more than 2 to 3% today and a guaranteed product that doesn't have a lot of risk in it.
So I think what you're trying to say is that if you were to relate it to something like farming, like if you're farming a field and you have an unplowed field, that if you want your yield to grow, you might have to try planting some seed in that field next to what you're normally cultivating to be able to bring in some more returns rather than just keeping all your eggs in one basket, if you want to say it that way.
Yeah. One investment category basket. That would be a pretty good way to say it. And I think, there are a lot of funds out there that invest in dividend-paying stocks that have paid dividends for 5 years in a row. That's one of the typical types of funds I look at when I'm looking at these sort of things. That's a pretty good one. And if you look at the long-term history of those, you're getting some dividend yield. It's probably fairly close to the yield that you're going to get on a CD right now anyway. And the growth that comes along with it, or at least it has come along with it, has gone a long way to help those people that relied on those types of investments to keep up with inflation, to provide that growth factor that we need. And you're going to need that. When you retire, inflation doesn't. Inflation continues on. So you can't let your money retire with you. You have to keep your money working for you. And it's a pretty tough task.
So people may need to take a little bit of risk. And of course, if they call Bullington Capital Management, you can help them put forth strategies to help minimize that risk and grow their retirement.
Yeah, to give you an outlook and an opinion that's based on a lot of research, a lot of hard facts. There's a lot of experience going into there. And, you look at just an average mix of stocks and bonds, broadly diversified, say a 60-40 blend. Okay. Over the past 20 years or so, that's going to have a return somewhere around 6% or so in that neighborhood if it's done correctly. Now, the average investor's return over that same time period has been about 1.9. That's not that good. I can tell you why it is, but that's a subject for another show. The bottom line is you actually don't have to knock the ball out of the park. You just have to make sure you don't get knocked out yourself.
So in essence, what we say, keep calm, and just continue to stay the course.
That's right. You need to have a plan. Doesn't have to be super complicated. In fact, most of the plans that aren't super complicated have a tendency to do better, over time. So if you want to just try to keep it simple, try to hit all the basics, make sure you get the fundamentals down really well, just like any good coach would tell you, get the fundamentals down, practice those fundamentals, and in the heat of the battle, remember the fundamentals.
And of course, you do a complimentary get to know you visit with somebody who maybe hasn't contacted you, or they're just saying, hey, where do I go? How do I start on this financial planning and retirement venture? Exactly.
And here's what we'll do. We're going to take a look at what you're doing. I'm going to let you tell me what you would like to try to achieve. I'll lay out several options that would try to help you achieve those goals, and then you get to pick. There's no pressure. You get to take the material home with you to study it, to call back with questions. And if we can help you, we'd be glad to. And if not, that's okay too.
All right, so make sure you check out bullingtoncapital.com. And what's your office number for folks to contact you at?
It's 330-664-0700.
And of course, you're listening to the Bullington Capital Management Podcast at 955thefish.com, WHKradio.com, thewordcleveland.com, and wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks, Bill.
Well, thank you, Josh.